Hello, welcome to the basics of R object video. My name is Siddharth Sahasrabudhe. In this video, we are going to see the difference between the R and RStudio. We will then quickly glance through the RStudio environment. At the end of the video, we will create the basic R object, which is called as atomic vector, and then we will create some arithmetic operation on the object to understand its behavior. So let's get started. Now I assume that you have successfully installed R and RStudio on your computer. If you don't know how to install the R and RStudio, you can refer to my previous video wherein I have given step-by-step instructions of installing both R and RStudio. Now let's closely look at the difference between the R and RStudio. So at its simplest, R is like a car's engine and RStudio is like car's dashboard. So when you want to drive a car, you don't drive a car by interacting directly with the engine, but rather by interacting with the car's dashboard. So in similar fashion, RStudio is called as integrated development environment. So you won't use R directly, but through RStudio, which is integrated development environment that provides interface with our language by adding many convenient features and tools. So RStudio helps you write code in R. Now when you want to open the R session, remember that we will always work on RStudio and not in R application. So always ensure that you click on RStudio icon and not on R icon every time you start a new session. The largest pane is console window. This is where you will run the R code and see the results. Then there is a file pane which displays the files and folders. And this pane also will also display the graphs that you will draw as a part of your data analysis. The third pane is an environment pane, where current variables and data frames that are generated in the session are displayed. So we will learn more about these panes as we go along the course. So now let's begin with our first example. So in this first example, what we are going to do is that we are going to roll the die, right? So if you have seen the die, it has 6 numbers on it, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So these 6 numbers, if we want to create a virtual die, then we need to save these 6 numbers, right? And once you save these 6 numbers as a group of values in your computer's memory, then you have this virtual die ready. So in this example, first step would be to create these numbers, then to save these numbers, and then as we go along, we will then explore the method for rolling our die, right? So let me start with opening the R user interface. So this is how the window looks like that you see on your screen. So this RStudio interface is pretty simple. So what you have to do is that you have to type a command at the prompt and hit enter. So and then once you hit enter, your computer executes the command and shows you the result. So for example, just to type in 1 plus 1, I'm just typing in 1 plus 1 and I'm hitting the enter. So once you hit the enter, then RStudio will display the result. So you can notice that there is one a small bracket that appears next to your result. So it's basically R is just letting you that this line begins with the first value of your result. Now there are some commands that return more than one value and the results may fill up to multiple lines. So for example, the command 100:130, now this command will return 31 values. And remember, this colon operator returns every integer between two integers. So if you want to create the sequence of numbers, then you can simply type in the start number colon and the end number. It will the R will give you the entire sequence in between those two numbers. So as you can see, these bracketed numbers are appearing at the start of the second line of the output. If you feel that these videos are really helping out, if you are getting the value out of this content, then can you do me a favor? Can you please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Infinity A channel for data science? Because if you subscribe, then you can get immediate notification of the content that I will be posting every week. Thank you. Now if you type in incomplete command and press enter, right? So as I'm typing, for example, 5 minus, so I forgot to type the next number that I want to subtract, so I just type in 5 minus. Then what R will do, R will display this plus prompt. Now this plus prompt, that means that it is waiting for you to type in the rest of your command. So either finish the command or hit escape to start over, right? So I am just finishing this command. So I write 1 and then the command will execute and it will give me the result. Now if I type in something which R doesn't understand, then it will throw the error, and the error will be shown in red font. So if I just type in 3 %5, then you can see that unexpected input 3%5. So percent is not a command that R can able to understand. So then it basically gives me the error message. So you must have now got the hang of command line, so you can easily do anything in R that you would do with the calculator. So just type in a few numbers and then you will realize that it's that simple. Now when you program, then you need to annotate the program, right? You need to put in comments and annotations to your code. So in R you use hashtag, and this hashtag is called as a commenting symbol. So for example, if I write in this small command and then I put in hashtag, I'm multiplying these two numbers, then you can see that the hashtag is simply the R treats it as a commenting symbol or annotation to the code, right? Now we will use the colon operator that we have seen, and it's a very nice way to create a group of numbers, and with the help of colon operator, now we can able to create the group of numbers from 1 to 6, and that's what we exactly want for our die, right? So let me create our die with the help of colon operator, and the result that you see is called as a vector. So basically a vector is one-dimensional set of numbers. So that's how this virtual die looks like, right? But running these numbers simply, they have generated the vector, but you need to store this somewhere, right? Because you will be using it again and again in your program. If you want to roll the die, then you need to use this die again. So somewhere we need to store it, right? So you can store this group of numbers by creating an R object. So basically objects in R is nothing but is just a name that you can use to call up stored data. So for example, you can save the data into an object like A or B. So whenever R encounters the object, it will replace it with the data saved inside. So for example, A, I'm storing and I'm calling A, and then R is giving me what is stored inside A. Now remember that to create an R object, I've used a specific symbol. Now this is a less than symbol, it's followed by minus sign, and this combination looks like an arrow. So if you want to create an object in R, then you need to use this symbol, right? And once you store the object, once you store the number in the object, then you can simply call the name of the object. I'm storing these 6 numbers in die. Die is my object, and if I simply call the object's name, then R will give me what is stored inside that object, right? That's what the R will show me. And another thing to note here is that when you create an object, the object will appear in environment pane of RStudio. This pane will show you all the objects that you have created since opening the RStudio. Now there are few things that you need to take care of. First, a name cannot start with a number. The object name cannot start with a number, and you cannot use a special symbols to store the object, right? Plus the R is also case sensitive. That means name with small n and name with capital N. These are two different objects. R considers them as two different objects. And finally, R will overwrite any previous information stored in an object without asking your permission. For example, if I create my number and store 1 into it, and again I create my number and store 999 into it, then the first number gets replaced by 999. And if you want to see the object names that you have already used, then you can use this ls function. This ls function actually gives the names you have used in the RStudio's environment pane. Now you have a die stored in your virtual memory. You can access it whenever you like by typing the object name. And this function is quite useful, isn't it? Because you can now do all sorts of maths with the object. Now, for example, if you type in die minus 1, die plus 1, die multiplied by die, all these things can be possible now. But let's see closely how R handles these vector operations, right? Remember, die is a vector, a one-dimensional vector. So now let's see how these vector operations are done in R. Now while calculating the result of these operations, R uses element-wise execution. So R will apply same operation to each element of a set. For example, die minus 1. Let's take this example, die minus 1. So what R will do, R will subtract 1 from each element of die. Now in case of multiplication operation, two vectors are involved because we are multiplying die with the die. So there are two vectors. So what R will do, R will line up these vectors and perform the sequence of individual operations. So it multiplies the first element of vector 1 by the first element of vector 2, second element of vector 1 by the second element of vector 2, and so on until every element of the vector is multiplied. Now suppose we have two vectors of unequal length. Now what will R do in that case? Well, R will repeat the shorter vector until it is as long as longer vector. Now please note that this is not a permanent change. Shorter vector will be of its original size after R does the math. Now let's try these operations in RStudio. In this video, we understood the difference between the R and RStudio. RStudio is the integrated development environment which is used to write the program in R. Then we created the basic R object which is called as atomic vector. We also performed some arithmetic operation on atomic vector to understand how the R performs element-wise operation. In the next video, we are going to talk about the functions and we are going to create our own function. Thank you very much. Take care and goodbye.